All right, everybody, welcome back to Binary Adventure Radare2 tutorials. So we're in the same spot we were when we left off the last video, and now what we're going to cover is how to show imports and exports, symbols, sections, and if we have time, we might get to strings also. So the first thing I want you to do is when you're at a prompt, either you can be at the prompt either inside visual mode like we are now, or if for some reason you wanted to leave visual mode and just enter the prompt in another way, what you could do is just hit Q. So I actually forgot to tell you how to quit. I'm hoping some of you guys figured this one out, but if you want to go back to sort of like the entry screen of Radare, you just hit Q. And that's going to take you back to this prompt that we were originally at. Now this prompt is actually the same as the prompt that when we hit colon when we're in the visual mode. So whatever you type down here on the left, you can also type if you exit all this and go back here. So for example, I'm going to type the command here. So what we're going to do is do I question mark. So the way Radare works is it has different main modules, and then each of those modules has submodules and different commands. So if I type I question mark, the I module is to get information. So as you start to learn all these, you'll start to intuitively be able to go back and reference these things. But not everybody remembers all these commands, and you don't need to. All you need to do is know the main module names and how you get help and how you get the reference manual. And the way you do that is just by typing question mark after it. So you can see down here that what we're looking for is imports right now. People will look at imports in order to see what functionality the program is importing from various libraries. For example, if you wanted to see if a program is connecting to the internet or doing some cryptography, you could look in the imports for different like commands or different functions such as socket or cryptography functions and things like that being imported. Let's say you want to see, some program or some malware, how exactly it's making its connections or what types of crypto algorithms it's using and things like that. So it's a very common thing to do. In IDA Pro, there's a window for it. In Radare, all you got to do, as it says right here, is type II. Now remember, if you left Radare, you have to, the binary needs to be analyzed at this point. If you haven't analyzed the binary, it's not going to show you anything, and it's going to look like, oh, it's not working. So if you come up with nothing with this command, remember to do AAA again, okay? So let's type II, but before I do that, I'm going to do II question mark. And you can see here that now it basically gave us back the main information. So basically II doesn't have anything else to help you. It doesn't have any more help information than this. Pretty straightforward. But some of these other commands that could be 2 and 3 letters long, you can actually type a question mark and it will give you more help information, more detail about that. So I type II here, and here we go. So it's showing us the import function. So you can see that this program is relatively boring. It just prints some stuff to the screen. It calls puts, fprintf, fopen, things like that. So now if we wanted to go and see where is it calling printf like we did in the last video, from here what we would then do is we would just seek to this address right here as it's shown, okay? So just type s 0x 00000740. Hit enter. And then again, you have to, well, in this case, we're not in visual mode yet. So now we're going to hit Shift V, hit enter, and boom, we're right there. We are at exactly where this is the printf stub that we saw last time. Okay. And then remember, if we wanted to then cross-reference, we could just hit colon here, and then we could say AXT for cross-reference 2. And then we would get our cross-reference list again. But we don't really, you already saw how to do that in the last video. So the main thing I wanted to show you there was how to get to those imports. So let's go back, and this time we're just going to type I question mark again from here. And okay, so let's look at now the exports. So the exports are, does this binary, is it like a library for any other files? Is it going to be exporting any functions? So we can look through here. I see imports, exports, I capital E. So we type I capital E, we hit enter, and these are the different functions that are exported. So those are your imports and exports. The next thing on the list here is let's look at the sections. So I believe that's I capital S. So if we wanted to see like the different sections of memory, you're going to type I capital S, hit enter, and these are the different sections. There's enter P, note ABI tag, DynSim, GNU version, init, and then we have our data, our .data section, which many of you are probably familiar with, BSS. We usually have a text or a code section too. We have our lookup tables. Here we go. Here's our text section right here. So, and it tells you the offset and the size of the sections. So then it gives you your permissions. It's kind of like in Ollie debug or one of the debuggers as well. So at this point, I mean, with just these last couple of videos, you should be able to start really using this thing. Just practice with it, and you can get most of the information that you would get from another disassembler even already. So even though Radare is, it has a little bit of a learning curve with these commands, there's methods to the madness, and you'd be surprised at how quickly you can get good with this. And the thing is very fast. Without loading all that GUI stuff up, it operates way faster. You don't have to wait for all these things to load and the analysis take forever and things like that. So those are the sections. I'm going to go ahead and show you the symbols as well. So in the last video, I showed you how to do AFL. AFL will list all of the functions, and this is probably the best way to just get a list of most of the functions that are being called by the programs in kind of concise, succinct way. And by the way, if for some reason you don't understand what some of these numbers mean, there's a more detailed, descriptive, verbose version, AFLL. And check this out. It's color-coded, and it tells you what all those numbers are, and it gives you a lot of information here. So it's the same thing as this, it just gives you more info. So now there's also something just called symbols. And I believe that is IS. If you don't know for sure, remember you could hit I question mark again, but I'm just going to try IS here. So what IS does is it's very similar to AFL, except it shows you all symbols that it's found, so not just functions. AFL shows you functions. This shows you other symbols as well. You can see here the type of symbol right here. Okay. So there you go. I mean, you have a lot of information at your fingertips already about the binary. And combined with the S functionality, you can now jump to all these different areas by going to these addresses. You can enter visual mode and inspect these things in the visual debugger. You can move around. You can enter calls. So you can already do a lot of reverse engineering statically, which is what I've shown you. So in the next video, I'm going to go over some, how to get strings, but I'll show you some really basic commands. To get all strings from the data section, you hit IZ. So these are different strings in just the data section. To get all strings in the binary, you hit IZZ. You got to be careful. This one sometimes it floods the buffer here, but this is a pretty small file. So I'm in TMUX, so I'm going to try to scroll up here so you can see. But these are all of the ASCII strings in the file right here, and actually it actually parsed a UTF-8 string as well, so it's pretty powerful. It looks for various different types of strings, and you can customize some of that stuff. But that's all I'm going to show you right now. And again, you could then go to one of these string addresses, and then you could cross-reference and see where it's being used. So for example, let's do that right here. So let's take this right here. Let's hit let's go back down to the prompt. So it is 000012B2. So all we're going to do is S12B2. And now when we close this out, this is the string right here. You can see failed to open file. And then all we got to do now is, again, our seek is at that string. So we hit colon, and then we can just hit AFX for, all right, excuse me, AXT. So cross references to, and then hit enter. And then we can see where this is being called in the code. So then we could then jump to that part of the code. We could do SOX950 and then close it out, and boom, there it is. That's where that string is being used. So I'm going to end the video here, and we're going to go into more detail on the strings utilities and some of the other utilities with Radare in the next videos. Thanks for watching, and if you like this, don't forget to subscribe. I have a whole series about this because I found that Radare was a lot of people have intros to Radare, but they don't really fully explain how to walk through binaries and use this thing. So stay tuned for more tutorials.